and welcome to today's class. For today, there are no props required, but we will be working a little bit on balance and standing on one leg. So if you would like or you have available to you to have a set of blocks with you, go ahead and grab those. You can always have those nearby. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and meet in a seated or kneeling position, whatever is most comfortable for you. I'm going to go ahead and start on my shins. You're welcome to take easy seat, sitting right on top of your sit bones, letting the soles of the feet come together to touch if that is a little bit more comfortable for you getting started. And whenever you come into your space, feel free to take some light shimmies, wiggle out the kinks. And then while you do so, maybe you go ahead and close the eyes. Starting to tune inward, tuning into your body, quieting your mind. And then starting to feel and listen to the pattern of your breath. Using your senses to feel that deep inhale. Maybe taking a pause at the top to sit with it for just a moment, and then exhaling nice and fully all the way out. Taking a few more deep breaths just like this, keeping the lips sealed. Deep inhale. Filling everything up and in, pausing at the top, and then exhaling all the way out. Taking 2 more at your own pace. Deep inhale. Finding your exhale when it suits you, and 1 more round. Go ahead and blink the eyes open. On your next inhale, big sweep of the arms up and overhead, finding length through the spine, reaching even taller through the fingertips. And then right fingertips come outside the right hip, reach the left arm up and over towards the right side. Opening up through that left side body, but keeping that left hip down. Whether you're on your shins or on your sit bones, both starting points work for the same motion to really open up through the left side waist. And then maybe draw down in front of you, keeping that left hip anchored. Reaching that left hand out in front. The right arm's going to follow. As the left fingertips plant outside the left hip, the right fingertips reach up and overhead. Opening up through the right side of the body. Keeping the right hip down, that sit bone anchored either onto the earth or onto the heel. Drawing that hip crease away from the armpit, really feel that length. And we're going to make our way to 1 more round, so sweeping through the center, keeping that reach to the fingertips to feel that stretch sensation change from the side of the waist to the back of the body over toward that left side as the right fingertips plant. Reintegrating through the sit bones as we open up. Just clearing some space into the lungs, into the spine, in through the rib cage. Trying to feel a nice lift through the left side. Opening up a little bit further, and then over onto the other side. So we're sweeping through center, really reaching through those fingertips. Make that as long as you can. And then up and over. We reach toward the left side. Drawing that tailbone down. And then inhale up through center, really reach nice and tall. And then exhale, cactus the arms, draw the chest, the heart up towards the sky, shoulder blades squeeze back behind you. Inhale, lift up. Heart shines forward. And then exhale, draw the elbows down, fingertips open nice and wide, receiving the energy around you. Gaze looks up towards the sky. And then inhale. And then exhale, draw it in towards your heart. On your next inhale, sweep of the arms down towards your hips. As you lift up through the fingertips, we lift up through the hips. So we're on top of the shins now. So if you're in a easy seat, go ahead and just kind of roll over the ankles and find your way into a tall kneeling position here. Finding your way into the center of the mat-ish. Arms are up and overhead. And then on that exhale, we cactus the arms once more. Maybe we press the hips forward to find a little bit more opening through the front body. And then inhale up. Find that tall kneeling position once more. One more on your exhale. Press the hips forward. Maybe squeeze the glutes to get a little bit more depth into this space that you're comfortable with maintaining. And then inhale up. Exhale, draw that energy back down to heart center. From here, we're going to take a slight shift of your weight into that left shin so that we can free up the right foot and bring the right foot forward. We're going to come into a tall kneeling position here. And if you have blocks, if you'd like to have blocks, you can always bring that to the outside of your feet. So you can always frame that front foot. But we're just going to kind of work through the hips here just for a moment. So you're going to lunge into that front knee, bend into that knee. And then on the exhale, you're going to tuck the back toes. You're going to sit the hips back, coming into half splits. And we're going to work through these two positions at your own pace. Let it feel good. Let it feel opening. Just working our way into the hips here. Linger as long as you like in each direction. And it doesn't have to be a linear journey front to back. You can find some circles opening up into that front hip. Maybe working into the back line of that leg a little bit differently as the toes face towards the outside edge of the mat. Take this opportunity to just create a little bit of freedom within your body. Do what feels good. Explore something new. Just another breath or so. We're all going to meet in that forward lunge position. Untuck the back toes. Plant the left hand. Right hand traces across the chest as it reaches up toward the sky, twisting towards the right side of the room. Reach up nice and tall. And then exhale, square the chest down towards the mat. The right forearm is going to drop inside that right foot. Pausing here, and then reach that right arm back out in front of you. Big sweep of the arm, twisting towards the right side. Arms reach up, fingertips reach up towards the sky. Keep that reach as you square the chest back down. Right forearm drops inside that right foot. It can come down to a block if you brought blocks along with you. Reach those right fingertips forward, up and around. You can pause at the ceiling here, or you can keep twisting the chest, reaching the fingertips towards the back of the mat. Opening up a little bit deeper. Big pinwheel back, plant the hands inside the foot, tuck the back toe, sit the hips back, coming into a half splits pose. I'm just going to pause here for a few breaths. Feel free to allow the toes to face toward the sky. If you want a slightly different sensation, maybe we turn that whole right leg out and open towards the right side edge of the mat. Keep drawing those hips back in space. Plant that right foot back down once more. Untuck the back toes, pressing down through the back shin, the top of the back foot to lift yourself back upright. Drawing that tailbone down, lifting that left hip point forward. Feel that nice little stretch in front of the left hip just for a moment. And then shifting your weight into that back leg, free up the right foot, bring the right shin back to meet the left. Hips come towards the heels just for a moment to pause. Deep inhale and exhale. Next inhale, drive down through the shins, arms sweep up overhead. Maybe look up as those fingertips reach up towards the sky. Exhale, cactus the arms, open the front body. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. On your next breath, shift your weight towards your right shin. Free up that left foot. Left foot plants toward the top of the mat. And maybe sinking right into that left knee. Finding your depth, kind of letting the hips hammock here. Using the blocks to support you as you need. And then go ahead right into that journey, moving forward and back. Moving through that low lunge and half splits pose. And taking a linear pattern if that feels good, but knowing that that's not where you have to stick to. Maybe you come forward into that left knee. Maybe you let that knee fall out and open. And then when you make your way towards the back of the mat, maybe you let that left leg spin all the way open, feeling a different sensation through the back line of that leg. Maybe you get the torso, the spine, the shoulders involved. Whatever feels good. Change it up a little bit. See what new sensations you can explore within your body. Just another breath or so. Just kind of wiggling forward and back, finding a depth that you like. Blocks are always welcome here to make your arms a little bit longer, give yourself a little bit more room, more space to move. Within the next breath or so, we're going to make our way towards the top of the mat. Hands are planting just inside that left foot. And then the right hand's going to plant, left arm traces across the chest as it reaches up towards the sky. Really reach those left fingertips up as you press down through that right hand. And left fingertips are going to sweep towards the front of the room as you square that chest down. Drop the left forearm inside that left foot, sink deep into those hips. Reach the left fingertips forward, up and around, just towards the sky for right now. Feeling that reach, that subtle twist within the spine. Big reach back down, drop that left forearm. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, maybe we get a little bit more of a twist into this space as you reach those left fingertips toward the back of the mat, opening up through the chest. And then up, back and around, drop that forearm down. And then plant the left hand, send those hips back, half splits. As we settle here, feel free to just keep those left toes lifted. If you want to change the sensation up a little bit, maybe we turn that left foot outward. Keep drawing those sit bones back, that tailbone up and back behind you. Feeling that lengthen. The back line of the leg all the way from the sit bone toward the back of the knee. Reaching that chest toward the fingertips. Come back into that left foot. And then press through the left foot to lift the torso back upright. Draw down through that back shin, through the top of the back foot as the right hip bone lifts forward. Finding a nice tall spine. Keeping that pressure through the back leg. Free up the left foot. Bring the left knee to meet the right. Exhale, go ahead and sit hips to heels. Find your kneeling position here. Maybe close the eyes, take a breath or two. And then go ahead and come into tabletop. Hands plant towards the top of the mat. And we're coming up and into downward facing dog. And when coming into this space, just go ahead and pedal out the feet. Work through the ankles, the calves. We worked through the hips already, so find somewhere new to work through. Maybe the upper body, the chest. Closer to the ankles, the calves. And then the next breath or so, settle into your downward facing dog. Feeling that lift of energy from the palms of the hands through the shoulder blades. Feeling strong and integrated in the space as the hips lift up towards the sky. Heels draw heavy down toward the earth. On your next inhale, heels lift up high towards the sky. Exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Hips come up high towards the sky as we ripple that energy all the way up, high plank, and pause. Pause here, strong and integrated in your high plank, and then bend the knees, send the hips back, downward facing dog. 2 more rounds, just freeing up the spine here. Inhale, heels lift. Exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Round that spine as the hips lift up high. Energy comes forward, finding that high plank, unravel. Pause in your strength, and then exhale, bend the knees, hips go high, downward facing dog. Last round, inhale, heels lift. Exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Hips high, spine rounds. Pause in your high plank. Bend the knees, send the hips back, downward facing dog. On your next breath, go ahead and walk the feet between the hands for another count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And as we make our way toward the top of the mat, go ahead and grab opposite elbows, let the head hang heavy. Find a rag doll. Maybe finding a nice gentle sway of your torso over the lower body. Let the head, the neck hang heavy. Feel that tractioning all along the spine, all the way through the crown of the head. Maybe finding a nice soft bend in the knees if you haven't already. Go ahead and release opposite elbows, keeping that heaviness within the spine. Start to press through the soles of the feet, unraveling and making our way to Tadasana, nice and slow. As our knees start to straighten, our hips come forward, our shoulders roll open, our head lifts. And then our arms reach up overhead. Finishing that breath, and then exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. Exhale, hands come through heart center, hinge at the hips, forward fold. As the fingertips come down to the earth, we finish that fold. Inhale, we find a halfway lift. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, hands plant, step the left foot back, the right foot back. Go ahead and take your variation of a push-up. You can drop the knees at any point. But once we perform our push-up, we drop the knees all together, we sit the hips back. We gaze forward. We drop the forearms, we pull the body through upward facing dog. Pause here. Feel the opening of the hips. And then exhale, hips lift, downward facing dog. Two more rounds. Go ahead and walk the feet towards the top of the mat. Once our feet make our way there, we inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press through the soles of the feet, we unravel. Arms reach up overhead, maybe we gaze up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, fold. Hands plant, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, hands plant. Step the right foot back, the left foot back. Take your variation of a push-up. Again, knees can always drop. Hips back, gaze forward, drop the forearms. Inhale, pull through, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Last round, inhale, heels lift. And then go ahead and walk the feet nice and slow toward the top of the mat. And once we make our way there, inhale, we find a halfway lift. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, root to rise. Feel free to find some soft ripple-like motions to make your way upright as our hands inhale up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. Look up. Exhale, hands come through heart center. Find your fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant. Step the left foot back. Step the right foot back. Your variation of a push-up. Knees will drop. Hips to heels. Forearms drop. Inhale, pull forward. Exhale, forward. Downward facing dog. I lied. We're going to do one more round. So another little walk and journey towards the top of the mat. If you'd like to hop or take bigger steps, you're more than welcome. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, find your fold. Inhale, root to rise, finishing with those hands reaching up and overhead. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms sweep up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart center, find your fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, find your fold. Big step of the right foot back, the left foot back. Find your push-up. Drop the knees, sit the hips back. Inhale, forearms drop as you pull the body forward, upward facing dog. And then exhale, hips lift, downward facing dog. Take another breath. On your next inhale, that right leg is going to lift up high towards the sky. Exhale, draw that knee in towards your chest. Step it up high to the front of the mat between the hands. And then keeping that chest low, I want you to start to shift your weight over top that right foot. Can you free up that back leg? Lift the back leg up. Keeping the hands down onto the earth or onto blocks. Pausing here. And then go ahead and bend back into that left knee. That right knee, plant the back leg. Plant the hands. Tuck that right foot in towards the chest. Lift it back up, three-legged dog. And then exhale, back to downward facing dog. Onto the left side, inhale, that left leg lifts. Exhale, bend the left knee. Drive it in towards your chest. Try to bring it up between the hands. Plant that left foot. Keeping that chest over top that left thigh. So we're keeping that sandwich there. Hands are framing that front left foot. Can we start to shift the weight into that left leg, come up onto the back toes, lift the back leg? Almost like we're coming into a warrior three, but we're keeping our hands grounded for right now. Trying to challenge our left leg. Can we keep those hips squared over top the standing leg? And then soften into that left knee a little bit more as the right toes drop. Plant the hands, tuck that left leg underneath you as it reaches back up into three-legged dog. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Inhale, the right leg lifts. Exhale, knee into chest. Try to step it forward between the hands. You can use blocks to give yourself a little bit more space. Keeping the chest low, can you shift your weight into that right foot? Slowly and weightlessly as you can. We're lifting and plucking that left foot up and off the mat. Hands stay grounded. Feel that strength in the right leg. Try to keep that left hip point down. And then, can we slowly bring the left hand to heart center, the right hand to heart center. Here for another breath. And then press strong through that right foot. Left foot passes by, comes up and in towards the chest. One-legged Tadasana. Exhale, left foot plants. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead. Exhale, hands come through heart center, find your fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, step hop, high plank. Find your push-up. Knees are always welcome to drop because we're meeting there as we set our hips back toward our heels. Drop the forearms, inhale, pull through, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. One breath here. Inhale, the left leg lifts. Exhale, draw it in towards your chest. Really tuck in and pull it in so we can step it between our hands. Keeping that connection between belly and left thigh, fingertips to the earth. Start to shift your way into that left foot, plucking the right leg up and off the mat. Can you keep that right hip point down? Taking a breath here with your hands down onto the earth so you can try to steady your balance here. Finding a point of gaze just beyond the front edge of the mat. Then can you bring the right hand to heart center, the left hand to heart center. Feel your strength. You have it here. Wiggles and wobbles are normal. And then nice and slowly press through that left foot. The right leg is going to pass right on through into one-legged Tadasana as the right knee comes up and in towards the chest. Exhale, plant that right foot. Inhale, big sweep of the arms up and overhead, reach up. Exhale, hands come through heart center, find your fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant, step hop. Come into high plank. Find your push-up. Drop the knees, sit the hips back. Inhale, pull through upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, big drive of that right knee in towards the chest. Hug it, curl it up and underneath you to plant the right foot between the hands. Keep that chest, that belly connection between your right thigh. Maybe we start by getting lighter up onto the fingertips already. Start to shift, roll over the back toes, shift your way into that right leg, pluck the left foot off the ground. Maybe lift it up a little bit higher than the time before. Getting even lighter into the hands, stronger within that right hip, within the belly, as the left hand comes to heart center. The right hand comes to heart center. Here for 3, 2, 1. Press nice and strong through the sole of that right foot, using all the muscles in that right leg. The left leg is going to pass on through. Left knee comes up and in towards the chest. Keeping strong within the sole of the feet. But keeping those toes splayed away from one another. Don't try not to scrunch them so hard. Distribute that weight as best you can. Holding here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and plant that left foot down. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, hands through heart center, find your fold. As the hands plant, we find our inhale, we halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step hopper, float back, high plank. Find your push-up. Drop the knees, hips back to heels. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, knee to chest, really drive it up and in. Planting it between the hands. Maybe find a little lightness within the torso before we even take all of the weight onto that left foot. Find a lift of the low belly, strength within the back of the spine. Start to roll over the back toes, lightly pluck it off the ground. Maybe lift that leg a little bit higher than the time before. Steady your balance, steady your gaze. Left hand in towards the chest, right hand in towards the chest. Balancing here for another 3, 2, 1. Press strong through the sole of that foot. Lift the torso up, keeping the lightness within that right leg so that it sweeps past, up and in towards your chest, and we pause. Wiggles and wobbles are okay, but can you feel the pads of all 5 toes pressing down into the earth? Not curling under, pressing down and feeling that lift all the way through the hip. Here for another 3, for 2, and 1. Plant that right foot down. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands come through heart center, find your fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step up or float. Find your push-up. Drop the knees, send the hips back. Inhale, pull through, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog.
Reintegrate into your dog, feeling the strength of the upper body, the length through the spine, the back line of the legs, feeling the lift of the hips, the heaviness within the feet, the strength through the palms of the hands. And nice and slow, we're going to take a 10-count journey toward the top of the mat. So we're going to step, or you can float. Making our way there now for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hang heavy here for just a moment, maybe finding ragdoll once more, maybe scooping the palms of the hands underneath the soles of the feet, feeling that connection of the toes into the wrist creases, pressing down into the palms of the hands, lifting through the chest, then drawing the heart down and in towards the thighs. Still finding a little bit of heaviness within the neck, within the head. Still feeling a nice lift at the back of the hips, lift at the tailbone. Another breath or two. Nice and easy, go ahead and release the hands from underneath the feet. Deepen the bend in your knees, nice and slow, unravel all the way to Tadasana. Take your time. Shoulders roll open, head lifts up last. And then we're going to finish out our little bit of balance with some tree pose. So as we come back up onto our feet, since we're moving from a steady stationary Tadasana, feel free to shift the weight forward and back side to side, kind of reintroduce yourself to all four corners of the feet. Maybe splaying the toes out, lifting and lowering the toes. And then on our next breath, we're going to shift our weight over towards that right foot, nice and slow. Again, finding all four corners of that foot. As we shift our weight onto that right foot, the left knee lifts up towards the chest. Giving yourself a moment to find your balance. And then from here, we're going to grab hold of the left ankle and bring it over toward the inside of that right leg in some capacity. If bringing that right leg all the way up and in towards you is big and throws you way too off balance, what we have available is just kind of kickstanding those left toes inside that right ankle. Maybe we just come inside the shin. Maybe we come just below the knee. Maybe we come at the knee. If we do, we're just putting equal pressure from foot to knee. We're kind of sandwiching everything together so we feel nice and controlled in that space. But if we feel like we can maintain our balance with that heel up toward the inner thigh, then go ahead and guide it there. My long-winded explanation of where you can place your foot probably gave you the opportunity to work through your balance for a few breaths already. But feel all four corners of that foot helping support you. Feel that strength all the way through the right thigh, through the right glute, through the low belly, and feeling that lift through the crown of your head. Opening up through that left hip best you can. Little squeeze of that left glute muscle, little drive of that outer edge of that knee toward the space behind you. Hands can be wherever you need them to be to feel strong and confident in your space for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wherever you are, go ahead and bring that knee back to the height of the hip and nice and easy lower down. Excellent. Working our way onto our next side here. So go ahead and find all four corners of that foot. Find the middle here. And then nice and slow, starting from a nice tall position, shift your weight over into that left foot as the right knee comes up and in towards the chest. We're all going to start here. So wherever your right leg ends up for tree, that's fine, but we're all going to come into this position where we're bringing that knee up and in towards the chest. Good. Finding that happy medium within the sole of the left foot. Can we get a little stronger within the thigh, the glute, a little bit more of a lift through the belly? And then either we lower that right foot back down towards the earth, toward the lower leg, or we grab hold of that ankle and place the sole of that right foot somewhere along the inner thigh. As we come into this space, I like to work my way up the chain. So where do I feel the most pressure within my foot? Am I scrunching my toes a little too hard? Can I place the pads of my toes down onto the mat? Do I feel pressure on the pinky edge and the big toe? Do I feel both edges of my heel? Do I feel a little bit of a lift through that inner arch? Can I tighten my thigh muscle a little bit stronger? Can I squeeze my glute to lift my left hip up a little bit taller? Maybe a little lift of the low belly to help get you into this space. And then just feeling the crown of the head kind of grow away, out and away from your shoulders. Arms can be wherever you need. They can be reaching toward, those fingertips can be reaching towards the floor. You can have your hands at heart center. If you feel tall and open, maybe reach the fingertips up towards the sky. Be wherever you need to be. Being here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Free up the right foot from the left leg, wherever it's coming from. The knee comes back towards the line of the hip. And then nice and easy, we let it go. Big inhale, up and overhead. Exhale, hands come through heart center, find your fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant. Big step of the left foot back, the right foot back down, facing dog. And then roll over the toes, drop the knees. Untuck the toes, fingertips come behind the hips. Just a nice, easy front body opener. As you press down through the fingertips, the top of the feet, the shins. Gaze towards the sky as the shoulders roll open. And exhale. Hips come back down. Bring those knees nice and wide from one another, big toes to touch. And then just go ahead and walk those hands forward, coming into a child's pose. And as you come into your child's pose, feel free to shimmy the hips left to right, kind of settling in between your thighs, letting the forehead rest down, fingertips reaching forward. If you had blocks, it might be nice to prop your hands up on blocks so you get a little bit more through the chest, through the upper back. Go ahead and walk the hands back up towards you. And just go ahead and find your way onto your seat. You're going to roll your way back down onto your back. Finding your way toward the center of the mat. Roll all the way down. And then just bring the spine nice and heavy onto the earth. Walk the feet out wide. Drop the knees in toward one another. And just resting one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Letting your body settle for a moment. And go ahead and walk the feet parallel to one another. Bring the right knee in toward the chest. Straighten the left leg out nice and long. And then go ahead and guide that right knee over towards the left side of the room as we find a nice easy twist here. Feel free to keep the eyes nice and heavy. Just letting these sensations feel good, adjusting the height of the hip as you need, the positioning of the arm. It could be a goal pose, you can be reaching out and at an angle. It could be in a capital T. Then go ahead back through center. Right foot comes back down to the earth. Left knee comes up and in toward the chest. Give it a squeeze as the right leg comes out and toward the top of the mat. Guiding that left knee over and across toward the right side of the room. Playing with the angle of the knee as it feels good for the hip. Feeling a nice opening within the back, a stretch to the back, through the hip. Trying to keep that left shoulder anchored down, just to feel a nice twist through the spine. And come on back through center. Bring the right knee up to meet the left. And just the last pose to finish out today's class. I've been really enjoying finishing up in plow pose. I just feel like it's a really nice space to be in within the spine. So if you bring both knees up and in towards your chest, press through the palms of the hands, bringing those legs up and overhead. Just finding a nice soft plow pose. Your feet don't even have to reach the earth. Keeping that neck nice and neutral. If you have a wall behind you, it might feel nice to rest your feet up onto the wall. Might notice that you get a little bit more space within the spine. Then feel free to linger here a little bit longer. Otherwise, nice and slow and with control, we unravel and we find our way into our final rest, into our Shavasana. Letting those legs come nice and wide. Arms can be alongside the body, or you can have one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Closing the eyes if you haven't already. And focusing your mind on the breath as it passes in and out of your body, as it travels throughout your limbs, your belly, the chest, the throat, the nose. Just feeling the breath as you pull it in from the space around you. You let it filter through your being before setting it free and starting anew. Letting the eyelids, the brow, the lips and the jaw
soften with every breath. Feel the shoulders sink heavy into the earth below you. Feeling the hips continue to soften as they open up. Nice and wide, the toes turn out towards the sides. And the hands just resting gently on your body. And I encourage you to be here in stillness for another 5 to 10 more breaths. I hope you enjoyed today's class, and as always, please feel free to like, leave a comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the new classes that come out a few times a month. So please feel free to let me know what you think of today's class, what you'd like to see more of, and I love to provide whatever you guys are looking for. So I hope you like today's flow, and I look forward to seeing y'all next time. Have an awesome rest of your day.